is consistent with it, So
yeah. David Attenborough has lived an amazing life, and he's offered the planet so much. And then when I watched the video, I thought, it's heartwarming, and he's physically gone out there and done it, and yeah, and so I don't know how many videos he's made, and all the things brought awareness to people about animals that just nobody knows about, and what they do, and now he's sort of turning more to a philosophical approach, it sounds like, on that video. Yeah.
But I think, like some of the defining sort of statements that were made, like for me anyway, were, like he said, like, well, if an asteroid, fell to Earth, how would we respond? Well, we would put everything aside and focus on the problem, and develop a solution, a creative solution,
Yeah.
So why aren't we doing that? And there are groups like Alatra and others, who are doing that in their own way, But
yeah.
But and I think that's the message for all of us, is to just keep repeating those fundamental messages about, no matter which way you're coming at it, that things have got to change.
Yeah. But I think the way Attenborough ended that, and you've just mentioned it, and it was, thought-provoking for me as well at the time, was, the way we solve the problem is to be healthy. Okay, in every aspect of our being, which includes spiritual.
Yep.
Yeah, and so that's how we contribute. That's how we help the planet get to the fifth dimension without pain.
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. So
yeah,
and every individual can make a contribution to that by just choosing good food.
Yeah, that's right.
And minimizing their waste, like, I mean, it's not that
the
hard.
same with mentally as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. So,
yeah, that brings me to something I wanted to share with you now, is that I've actually stopped the Alatra Saturday afternoon chat.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. It was a process. A few weeks ago, I was preparing, and I really, my heart wasn't in it. Okay. I didn't get any warm feeling that I was helping anybody or anything like that. Okay. And then on this past week, I mentioned to you maybe last or the time before that I was struggling with my sugar levels, and which was I did some research, and I realized that everything that's happening to me, my health-wise, negatively, was around possibly getting very little sleep at night. Okay. And I was getting very little sleep because my throat and mouth was very muggy. Okay. And I would have to get up like 7 or 8 times a night to go and urinate. And then I knew from my background, and I then went and just confirmed it. Okay. It had to do with, all of it had to do with high blood sugar. Okay. And those are the symptoms, plus others like tiredness in the late afternoon and so on, and lack of energy. All of it is high blood sugar levels. Okay, and it's your body trying to react. I mean, it's your, trying to get rid of the sugar. The kidneys are going like mad, and so they're taking water out of the system with the sugar and everything. And so your body is trying hard to do that. And I realized that because I I eat sensibly, Don, and I don't eat, in that the average person with diabetes too, he has a diet, and I just stay with that type of diet anyway. Okay. So, I eat a sort of quite a high fat diet, which is very good, and sort of moderate protein, and then low carbohydrates, but have carbohydrates, and it's fine, and I always check my blood sugar from time to time, and when it's high, I do it every day. Otherwise, I do it maybe once a month or thereabouts. Okay, and I realized that my blood sugar was enormously high, and there's one factor. Okay? There's only one factor in that, and that is stress. Okay, stress really pumps your blood sugar out. It puts you pump adrenaline and the fight or flight story, and so the body just puts sugar into the blood and takes it away from other places. Now, the sugar can also be the glucose that has been stored and so on. But anyway, I realized that I was stressing about get set up. Okay, I realized that it had taken me by storm in a sense that I absolutely enjoyed it, but then when they decided to slightly change their strategy and move to, they want to like non-stop new topics. Okay.
Yep.
And from everybody. And I was speaking just a day or two ago from a person I had not known. They contacted me from Canada, who also is a psychologist who also teaches for Get Set Up, and they wanted to talk to me about the purpose class that you and I put together, because they wanted to have not the same, but something that might just touch on some of the things that I'm doing. And so she wanted to find out from me, whether it was okay and so on. Anyway, we got chatting, and she says, she also felt under pressure, and that they wanted 4 new topics a week from her. And
a week.
Okay, and she just said no. Okay, and she cut her class days down to three classes. 3 days per week, doing a number of classes each day. But then she also takes in clients and things like that in a private practice and so on. So anyway, coming back to the point, I clearly, this stress of wanting the topics done and going flat out day and night, Saturday and Sunday, researching and creating classes. Just when you sent me a message now, I'm just putting together the last aspects of a class that I'm giving on Wednesday. Okay. And so I realized that was stressful. So I said to Alatra group, this is my situation. Okay. In order to do a presentation for Alatra and interact, there's time during the week that I've got to put aside and go there. Then, there's the Saturday. And I said, I just need, I need to de-stress. Okay. That's an important thing. So I've told Get Set Up, what I'm prepared to do as far as new classes are concerned. And I said to them, I hope they understand, the Alatra group, that I just don't, still love them, but I really need to take time out to get my blood sugar levels down. And I can only do that by relaxing, maybe certain actions that I take. Because the key is the stress. So I've got to relax. I've got to do less. Or maybe even over a longer time as well. So yeah, they understood that, and then so that's come to an end. I didn't even say we'll pick it up, because they asked me, can't we pick it up later in the year? I said, no, let's just cut it off. Let's just end it now. I want to end it now. Okay. And I said, if something else happens, if we come together, next year or something, somehow, or a different format, or I'd be happy to do that. But not at the moment until my health is in place, and I'm going at a steady level with my Get Set Up. So that's how we left it. But Ilana was interesting. She said to me, she also is under financial stress because she said she has basically 3 students. She lives totally 100% off the income from her students learning English. Okay, and as it was on Saturday, she has 3 students that actually come to her house physically, and it was raining, and so they weren't coming. Okay, something to that effect. Okay. And so it was actually convenient for her not to have the lessons on Saturday for that reason. But she also said the number of students for her get less and less in the holiday time, and the holidays continue now until August or something like that. And so I introduced her to Get Set Up, and I said, this could really be up your alley. And it's difficult to explain to her because she keeps on thinking, well, I can't teach anything. I can't teach anything. I can't. I said, it's not about teaching. Okay, I had to really move through the process of what it was about. And about an hour ago now, today, she came back and said she'd been to the site and she's completed an enrollment form, and she now sees what I'm meaning, that it's not a teaching format. Okay. And so maybe it's also, as it turned out after the event of my stopping, maybe it's going to be a new direction for her.
I hope it is.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you and let you know that that Alatra chat is no longer going.
So with that that group, that's just finished altogether now, has it? Not only in terms of your participation, but just finished altogether, or?
Remember, there is a group that she teaches, and that's on a different Skype website. A group. So she carries on teaching. She teaches on Mondays, Wednesdays, and I think Thursdays.
Okay.
So she teaches that. The Saturday was just anybody who wanted to join and try and express their English, with a third party present as opposed to only Ilana. So no, mine. I mean, we never had more than maybe 10 people at any given time, and often it was only 5. Okay, so no, the group as of me is finished because it was my group. Okay, Michael's group. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it sounds like it was the right decision for you.
Without a doubt, Don, it was. I'm not doubting it one iota. It definitely was. At the time of doing it, I sort of felt a little bit, am I letting them down? But I'm not. Okay, I'm convinced of that, and I think new things are coming. I can get to a point where I can look at, I can use that time, because I had to do a couple of hours in preparation for the PowerPoint that I would do, and I had to do something before. Just recently it was about the foundations, which I actually found boring. Okay. I really did. I found the foundations. I think you and I go much deeper than those foundations go. But anyway, be that as it may, I'm okay now with it. Yeah.
No, I think it's good, and I think and it's probably a potential point to even consider for your Purpose series is about some of that care for self and the importance of not being too busy.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm going to include some of that. Yeah.
Because I think it's a trap of it's a trap of consumerism, and it's a trap of capitalism, and it's almost like a cultural nuance now that if you're not busy beyond belief, and that doesn't translate as productive, but if you're not busy beyond belief, then something must be wrong.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here to tell you, and as you no doubt are as well, that the issue is about being effective. And if being effective means you work 3 days a week, then that's what you work.
Yeah.
Because anything beyond that is not healthy.
Yeah.
You know, you need to know where your own limits are, you know, and this stupid notion that, you know, you need to work, you know, 14-hour days, 7 days a week, it's just nonsense. It's just slavery. That's all it is.
Nonsense. Yeah, absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've already told Get Set Up here in the Australian management that, and I've mentioned it to you also before, is that I'm happy to come up with new ideas, but I need to be looking weeks in advance. Okay. And that's, you know, what's going to happen from this week. I've got 2 new classes this week. Unfortunately, they're both on Wednesday.
So this push for new content, is that in response to anything? Like, are they getting declining attendance levels, or?
I've thought about it, and I've questioned Mark about it, the guy from East Australia, and I've also gone on to Get Set Up, and I've read some blogs that they've written. Okay, and I put it down this way, and that is, you know, if a library doesn't keep on getting new books, okay, you know, what do people come to the library for if they've read what they want to read? Okay. So it's the same thing with this. It's about, I think, forever and a day, there needs to be new topics. Okay. Then
but for a week?
I think that's a bit of a stretch. Okay. I think that's a stretch. I've said to them now, I'll do 2 in advance, and you know, possibly introducing 1 a week. But if it works without my stress, in 2 a week is fine. Okay. But I need to know 4 weeks in advance. Okay. And so I put forward, many weeks ago, I put forward 20 ideas and asked for their opinion, you see, and they've crossed out half of them. Okay. And I can accept that because they don't want anything that even smells of political. Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah, bless you. And so, and they don't want anything that could be controversial as far as health is for senior people. Okay. You know, unless you've got something backing you up. And so I can accept that. Half of them were that. Okay. But it's helped me also now think sort of out of the box. Okay. And so I've got probably now 8 or 10, of which 2 have been used now. So it's probably about 6 topics that they're okay with. Okay.
And do these topics typically just result around a one session, or do you have multiple sessions out of an idea? Or
yeah, they say they would, their intention in the future is to keep the topic once a week for 4 weeks, and then relook at the attendance and the interest in it, and then even if there's a great interest, then they might stop it for a month. Okay. And then bring it in again the following month. Okay. So there seems to be, you know, a business mind behind what's going on.
Yeah.
And I'm comfortable with it. And I just, you know, like doing I told you about the Bermuda Triangle and Lemuria, the lost
Yep.
city of Atlantis, and that sort of thing. And I enjoy that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
I can research that, and so yeah. And I've just finished one with nutritional potted herbs.
Mm. Mm.
So that follows up really on the microgreens, growing microgreens, and
Yeah.
so I'm very comfortable. But it's not about my comfort. It's I'm happy to stretch my borders, to take on some things that I would perhaps never even dreamt of. Okay,
Mm.
and we'll see, because as long as I've got the time to research and put it together, maybe I could.
Have they considered as well maybe having a list, like pushing topics back and sort of saying, is anyone interested in developing a session around this idea or that idea? So is it just all, from the leaders pushing back up to them?
No, they're constantly asking the learners, what classes do you want? Okay, what topics do you want? Okay, and they're getting response. Okay, we don't get to see the response.
Yeah.
I suppose there's no real need for us to, but they're constantly asking. They ask us to ask in the classes as well, feedback. So they constantly getting feedback. But often, when you get to my age, you actually don't know what you want.
Well, that's not so much an age thing. I think that's just people generally, like, because businesses do it all the time. Oh, what would you like? Da, da, da. I don't know.
Yeah, true. So so I guess they've got to scratch in all sorts of directions to bring up topics, and the more topics you've got, at the moment, or the last, I was told about a month ago or two, it was 350 topics that they had. Okay, when that gets to maybe 3,500 topics, maybe things will change, and there's just so much, because they've divided those topics into categories. And I didn't count the categories. You can see them on the page, in actual fact, but I would guess it's probably 20 categories there. And some of the categories, only have 2 classes in them. Okay. So, the categories that get full up quickly are exercise categories and food categories and recipe categories and those sort of things. So, and even the business one, there are a couple of people now that do the business ones. So I'm looking at stretching my imagination and coming up with some different ones.
Yeah, no, I'm sure you will. You will.
Yeah. I will too. Yeah.
I think that sounds really good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pleased you made that decision then, both not only with the LATRA, but also with Get Set Up, that if you're not in a good place, then, it doesn't enable you to do what you need to do. That's for sure.
Yeah. What do you do in your daily life with regards to just putting aside Get Set Up and your videos in this shop now, but number one, to stay mentally alert and mentally developing, because your brain is something that that's the one thing. But what about exercise and energy generating, ignoring the walks and things like that? Just for this question, now, do you do any sort of I don't know, qigong or whatever the Chinese do, or do you do yoga? Do you do do you swim? I don't know.
No, I mean, my daily routine includes those things, but I don't do them as a separate thing. I've sort of consciously tried to, answer that. Well, I just respond to the question. So how do I want to live my life? And so what that involves is getting up at 4 a.m. every day.
4 a.m. every day.
Every day, 7 days a week, every day of the year.
And do you wake up naturally, or do you wake up with an alarm?
Both.
Okay.
I normally, when I say normally, the last, I don't know, 6 months or so, is I wake up about 3 minutes before the alarm goes off.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I get up and I do what I term as my morning spiritual exercises. So the first thing I do is when I get up is I come into a room that I set up as a devotional room, which also has my computer on it.
Yeah.
And I turn that on and I go to that gratefulness forum. They have a daily question that I, not always, but usually respond to.
Yeah, you've told me
But
about that. Yeah.
but I don't necessarily respond to it straight away. Sometimes I'll read the question and so okay, I'll think about that for a bit. And then straight after that, I do my 40-minute meditation, like it's a yoga-based meditation.
Okay.
And then I take Bella for a walk, which normally takes about an hour.
Okay.
So we do around about between 5 and 7 kilometers. And then come back and then I'll shower and have breakfast. And then as I'm sort of having breakfast, which I shouldn't do, I hate that word shouldn't, but anyway, as my circumstances evolve, I'll just sit and eat consciously. But what I do because of time constraints a little bit, so I'm normally sort of start preparing my breakfast around about 6 a.m. And I'll sit down in front of the computer, and if I haven't answered that question on gratefulness.org, I'll answer it then, after having thought about it during the walk and stuff. And then I put on some music that I like, and I might have a quick look at like a news, site or something like that. Just very quickly. I don't like to dwell on them. Then I might have a quick look at what's going on my Facebook page for a short while. And then there's just other stuff that I need to do. Like I might look at my emails then and stuff like that. And then by then it's about 6:45. And so I get ready for going into work, which is Tuesday to Saturday. And I normally leave here around about 5 or 7 past. And on the drive in, I listen to an audio book.
Right.
So that's sort of part of that enrichment, on different topics. And then I do my work and I finish in there at 5 o'clock. And coming home, I normally like to just drive home in silence, so I don't have the radio on or anything. I just decompress the day a bit on the way home, or process the day a bit on the way home, which takes about 45 minutes through the traffic.
Right.
And then I'll eat, and then I'll usually after that, generally I like to just sort of read and just unwind, before I turn in for the night. So
Right. And you read non-fiction, fiction generally?
usually non-fiction. Um, and I just like to explore different sort of topics and that. So like, and that's a combination with the audiobook in the morning and some of the reading at nighttime. I've got a stack of books there, like my reading pile, in terms of hardcover books, like paper books.
Yeah.
But and then on my weekend, which sort of starts, on Saturday afternoon,
Yeah.
and Sunday, Monday, I'll do things, you know, like with the furniture and those sorts of things as well. So the only, and I'm sort of more of a, I don't like to sort of work into the night too much. So I get, I don't like to sort of sit down in front of the computer in the evening. I prefer just to sort of, you know, as I end out the day, I sort of prefer to fill it with things that I enjoy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And then before I go to sleep, I normally like to just reflect on the day. You know, just a little routine that I have, and that's kind of it. So that all sounds very boring, I guess, but anyway.
No, thank you for sharing that. Very
Yeah.
interesting. No, it is interesting because as I started my conversation with you today, I've got to really look at some sort of way of just de-stressing. Okay, and so you know, I know the solution to sleeping would be just make sure that I'm not eating any sugars for 4 hours before
Well, maybe one of the things I'd sort of, maybe you might want to think about, and we all sort of are biologically different, but I know myself, if there's something stressing me for whatever reason, you know, that I've managed to let in there, and I'm having trouble sleeping, I changed my mindset to, well, if you can't sleep, at least rest. And I kind of think that in some ways, rest, and it's sort of how you get the context around, I guess, but rest in some ways is potentially more powerful than sleep.
Yeah, would you say, you know, I take a cat nap every afternoon, okay, and it's usually about 10 minutes, but it could be 20 minutes, okay, and I wake up and I'm certainly mentally far more alert, okay, and it's like it really, if I don't do that, I tend to like fall asleep, you know, soon after the sun's gone down. And yeah, and if I go to bed then,
Well, I mean, like, so if I sort of find myself stressed about something, and it doesn't happen that often now, it used to happen a bit, but if I find myself stressed about something and I'm having trouble sleeping, I either, like, if it's really getting to me, I'll generally get up and sit down and just write about it, just to try and get it out of my head. But if it's not an intense stress, what I generally do, if it's just more in the realm of an overactive mind, what I'll generally do is just put some chants on, and like with my headphones on in bed, and try and focus on the chants.
Do you then chant with it, or
No,
just listen to the chant?
Just listen to it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's, again, it's horses for courses. You know, it's not something I advocate for people. It's just what tends to help me. It doesn't mean I sleep, but it puts me into a state of relaxation and helps me break the thought pattern a bit by just concentrating on the chant and not.
You just reminded me. I'm just writing it down. Don't forget the chant, because that's also something I used to do. You know, with Logos, the Logos chant. Okay. And I hadn't done that. Well, not for a long time. So that might also be, that's, I think, something very relevant, and I know it's important. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's.
But I think the other thing too, and what I've sort of learned to do a lot more, and I continue to learn and practice around it, you know, through this being brutally honest with myself sort of mindset, is if I do find myself reacting to something, and the reaction can take any of the spectrum of the emotions,
Yeah.
I try and, well, not try. I look at it and say, you know, try and identify. And there's that word, try again. I look at it and identify what it is that that emotion is standing on.
Yeah.
Whether it's a fear-based thing, or whether it's anger, or whether it's desire, or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
when I get,
How you reacted. Yeah.
yeah, when I get to that, it generally significantly disarms it, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
mm.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, what you probably call is like an awareness practice, but it is based on honesty, though. Yeah, for me anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has to be a brutally honest thing, you know, and you know, even if I have to chastise myself along the way, a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other thing that I do as a practice is if I find my thoughts drifting off around a particular topic, you know, which is distracting me,
Mm.
is and it just depends on when it happens, but sometimes it's just as simple as a loud, you know, a loud clap in front of myself like that
Yeah.
sort of breaks it.
Okay. Okay.
But it has a physical element to it, like it's just a loud clap and it just breaks it. Mm.
Okay. That's interesting too. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. Yeah. The emotions are usually stimulated by an external factor.
Mm.
Okay. And so one then reacts, and
Mm.
yeah, yeah,
Mm. And I think that, you know, when you look at some of the things like Zen and some of the Buddhist streams, well, any of the major religions in a more advanced sense, it really does come back to that notion of, well, you're in control of your thinking. And lots of people say, oh, well, I can't stop thinking about this, or I can't stop thinking about this, or, you know, my thoughts do this or my thoughts do that. Yeah, that's fine. But there comes a point where you say, I'm not going to let that control me.
yeah. Or the reaction to
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so,
Yeah.
and, you know, and I've had to sort of condition myself a bit that way, you know, when I was no longer sort of working in managerial positions, you know, that I'd sort of look at things and I'd say, oh, this is stupid. What the hell are they doing? Rah, rah, rah. And then I'd just, you know, would have to say to myself, look, it's not my circus. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
You know, and focus on what is important, you know. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know, and that's where you've sort of really helped me fine tune that too, with that, you know, that what I call the Plumstead methodology, where it's like, you know, well, if it's not my circus, okay, then well, why isn't it your circus?
yeah,
And what are you going to focus on? Well, why are you going to focus on that? You know, so,
mm, 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 yeah,
and it keeps you honest.
yeah, yeah. Um, and it's not necessarily easy.
Oh, no, there's nothing.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
it's almost reminded me of the IIB mantra, wasn't it? You know, it's not easy, you know, but
oh yes.
yeah.
I'd forgotten about the IIB. Yeah,
Because they used to have like, I can't remember what it was now, but it was along those lines, wasn't it? It's not going to be easy, but
yeah,
but
yeah.
but you know, or I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, and I think it's you know, part of that process is just commitment to, you know, and dedication or devotion to whatever decisions you make around that, you know, because, you know, I used to sort of think, and it was part of the story I told myself, I used to think, oh, well, you know, I need a certain amount of sleep.
Mm.
And then I realized that I need as much sleep as I need. So it wasn't a matter of, you know, if I didn't get 8 hours every night, then it was a major problem, you know. So I took that pressure off myself.
That's
And
so interesting. Yeah, that's really an interesting factor that
yeah,
I haven't thought about that.
yeah.
I'm one, yeah, I sort of say to myself, I need 8 hours sleep, you see.
Mm.
And, but who the hell says I need 8 hours sleep?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, and it's almost like eating your food, you know. I eat enough food to satisfy my hunger, you know. It's not,
Yeah,
you know, I need to eat it, you know, unless there's a medical underpinning, but I don't need to eat at specific times throughout the day, and it
yeah,
doesn't have to take a certain format. So there's that. Um, but then the issue about getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning was more driven by, well, there are things that are really important to me, and as it turned out, that for me anyway, that meditating at that time of the morning um, had uh, a lot more energy behind it
yeah.
than doing it at some other time of the day. So there was part of the significance of doing it then was, well, this is the best time to do it.
Right, right.
You
And you
know?
experienced it as the best time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You know,
But,
and
yeah,
and to the point, and I haven't had this experience now for a few years, but you know, that when I had to get up early, like to leave early to go and be at a business breakfast that might have started in the city at 7 a.m. or something like that. So you'd have to be leaving home at 6 a.m. and that would sort of interfere with your whole schedule, you know. So I would really miss it. I would like feel incomplete in my day if I hadn't done, you know, my spiritual routine, you know, when I did it, sort of thing.
right.
And you know, I'd often find myself, you know, having a conversation with myself when I'd be either driving in or catching a train or something, thinking, you know, that, well, this is stupid, you know, like what's most important, you know, some stupid breakfast or doing what's most important, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
and then you'd say, oh, well, of course it's doing what's most important. Well, what am I doing sitting on a train or driving into the city at this time of the day then, you know, so
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I
Which
shouldn't
was
think it's easy to meditate on a train.
well, no, well you can, but
Yeah.
it's not the same, you know, because it's not my dedicated place. You know, I like to have a candle burning and I have
Okay.
it set up as to how I like it, and you know, so it's
Yeah. Okay.
very hard to replicate that on a train.
So what about when like you were saying earlier, you need to, and you used the word healthy, you need to eat healthily.
Mm.
Now, why? Okay.
Oh, because if I don't, yeah, not only do I physically feel bad, but I just lose the clarity of thought.
And who says what is healthy for you?
Um, well, I guess I do. Yeah.
Okay, no,
Mm.
I'm playing the fool with you, but I tend to believe what I've researched as being healthy. Okay,
Mm.
um, and then um, I watch my reactions when I eat something,
Mm.
um, and then that now fine lines it. For example, um, if I eat something and all of a sudden, within say 2 or 3 minutes, my nasal passages are a bit more blocked than they were before I started eating,
Mm.
um, then I know there's some ingredient in there, whatever it is, that is, reacting. That's my way of body saying, no, okay. Or, within 10 minutes, I'm rushing off to the toilet, okay.
Mm. Mm.
Uh, so then you start fine lining your own healthy foods.
Yeah, exactly. And if for whatever reason, you know, I've found myself sometimes at the end of the day, I'd be driving home and I'd be really tired and thinking, oh, I can't be bothered cooking something for myself. I'll just pick something up, and then you do that and you eat it and you think, oh my God, I feel horrible.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So more to the point now that what I usually do when I find myself thinking like that is like, oh, I can't be bothered cooking something for myself. Well, then I just say to myself, well, I'll either do without, or I'll just have a piece of toast or something like that, So,
Yeah.
I normally find that if I have like salmon, even if it's tinned salmon,
Yeah.
on a sandwich or something, I find that works really well for me. But
Likewise.
but if I'm, so I think I've developed a higher level of discipline around that now, that I just avoid convenience foods, and even through the middle of the day,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this week, which is only the first time that this happened to me in a very long time. I normally like to have rolled oats for breakfast with turmeric and cinnamon and hemp seeds and honey and all of
Right.
those sorts of things on it. Well, I ran out of rolled oats on Thursday and didn't pick any up until today. So the last couple of mornings, I've just had fresh fruit and like a probiotic yogurt
And do you eat fresh fruit quite a lot?
every day. Yeah,
Every day?
yeah, every
Yeah.
day. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Different quantities, but yeah, every day. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, the rolled oats, because everything you put on the rolled oats, I usually have egg every morning.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Like 2 eggs on toast, whatever way I make them. And then I put cinnamon on, I put cumin on, I put seeds on,
Yeah,
I put olive oil on. I
yeah.
mean, it's just like
Mm,
everything loaded up, and I thoroughly enjoy it. But
mm,
yeah. Um,
mm,
yeah, forgotten about the rolled oats. It's you get back into your old habits. You get into a habit, and as long as it's a good habit, it's fine. But then you find something new, and you think, this really works. And you try it, and it works for you, and it's great.
mm,
And you look back in 2 months' time, and you think, why did I stop?
mm,
What happened?
mm.
uh,
Yeah, and I normally like to have that breakfast no matter what. Like even every now and again, where I am at the moment, they might put on a breakfast, like not earlier, like it's still like you get there at say 8 o'clock or whatever,
yeah, yeah,
and I'll say, oh, we'll have a breakfast meeting, and they'll cook up, bacon and eggs and all that sort of stuff. But I generally just have a cup of coffee,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
so because I've already had my breakfast before I've left, so.
yeah. Okay, yeah.
Mm.
Uh, yeah. And then
But
yeah.
there's one guy there that I work with. He goes to McDonald's every day,
I think
every day.
there's a lot of people like that.
So he comes in the morning with his McDonald's bag under his arm, and he sits down at his desk and he eats whatever he buys, and then again at lunchtime he goes down to a takeaway food place, and I don't know what he eats, but I'm guessing it's probably like a hamburger or a pie or something.
Yeah.
And he is always sick,
Oh, is he?
always sick. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that says so. I was going to ask you, does he ever get sick?
He's always sick. He
Yeah.
struggles to walk up 2 flights of stairs. He
Yeah.
he's lazy. He's moody,
Yeah. Yeah.
and there's always sniffling and coughing and going on. So
Yeah. Where does milk come into your diet?
I don't have it.
Not at all.
Oh well, yogurt and butter, but
I'm not talking about fermented. Yeah, I'm just talking
yeah,
about milk. Yeah.
yeah, no, I don't have it.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
I enjoy my milk, the A2 milk, that is, not the
Yeah.
A. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, yeah. Um, yeah, even milk warm in some form before I go to bed, even, um, really gets me to sleep very quickly.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
And I think there's things which I guess we experiment with, like as you say, not only in terms of diet, but just things that we do through the day.
Yeah.
That there's certain things that we do that you think, oh well, that didn't make me feel very good, or that made me feel good, or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I had that with nightshade vegetables. One of them, like green peppers, had a reaction, but tomatoes didn't. Okay.
Mm. Mm.
You think, okay, they're both nightshade. Is there a problem or not? Do
Mm.
you eat tomatoes?
I like fresh sliced tomato on cracker biscuits. Mm.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
okay.
that's how I most enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Mm. Sometimes like with cherry tomatoes and that, I find them a little bit acidic for me, but
Yeah, I find them often tasteless.
yeah, yeah,
So if you get hold of organic tomatoes, that's great. Okay.
yeah.
And ripened sort of long before they reach the shops.
Well,
That's the
that's the trouble, is a lot of those
yeah,
tomatoes, if you buy them out of the shops, leave like those trust tomatoes and that. I mean, they look fantastic, but I'm sure they've been picked green and sitting in a cold storage for ages before you
yeah,
get to buy them. So yeah.
yeah.
Mm. And maybe manipulated in some way along the way too. I don't know.
I have no doubt, definitely, because when they come out of freezer, they get sprayed in order to ripen quickly on the skin.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Oh, there you go. Says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I had a difficulty this year on growing tomatoes. They just wouldn't grow in my pots. I had no idea why. So I thought,
Mm.
well, not meant to eat them.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I think someone's sending you messages.
Sending you.
No, you, I think.
I haven't got my. I don't know. Oh, no, but if this. Hang on, we've got. There's a chat page. But what's happened?
Uh,
No,
uh,
no, there can't be in the chat page. There's nobody else in our.
not in our conversation, but I think on the side there for your. Oh yeah, someone just sent you a message on that Michael's Elantra speaking group.
Oh, the Skype one. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
yeah. Anyway, we digress.
I mean, oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
can't. I suppose if I'm it doesn't matter. Leave it. I can't work out how to get that screen up with the other people in it.
I see where your name or my name is over on the top left-hand corner.
Yeah.
There's three lines beside it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just click on those three lines.
I clicked on that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, there isn't anything. Let's come up there.
Mm,
Just shows me talking to you. Yeah.
mm.
Okay. Anyway. Okay. Maybe.
But no, I think a lot of those sorts of practices and are important as we go along, because I think it's part of that increased awareness too, isn't it? Like being aware of how you feel about after you've eaten something, or
Yeah.
or if you know if someone speaks harshly to me on the phone, whether I choose to let that come inside or not. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
I agree. I think that's the core. That's certainly with it's set up because we're having these meetings on a regular basis, or not having the meetings and they're doing things without my knowledge. That then irks me,
Mm.
And
Well, let me put it this way. I think Alatra need you in a more significant way, and I know that you need them as well. But I think the value that you're contributing to them far outweighs what they're giving back to you.
You mean get set up?
Yeah, 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 yeah. It gets it up, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, you don't need to make that mean anything. But it's just that all that means is, I guess, in some respects, is they would be foolhardy to upset you to the extent where you say, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore, because it would definitely be their loss, you know. So
Yeah. The most important thing is me, how I react. Okay.
yeah,
And I must stop reacting. I must just say yes or no. If they say, jump, I'm not going to say how high. I'm going to say, okay, it's not convenient today. I'll jump tomorrow if it's needed to be, and put that down. And because the one thing I really do, I enjoy researching.
yeah,
Okay. And this gives me the opportunity to do research. Okay. And I want to get into a sort of a advanced, maybe 6 months down the line, where I've got 6 months worth of topics to research.
yeah, yeah.
And that because that would be my hobby in a way, would be the researching. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think the other thing too, my sense is that you're starting to develop a bit of a following. So every time you put a new topic up, you're going to have, the same sort of people coming back to see it, So
Probably, yeah. Although a lot of new people are joining Get Set Up now,
yeah,
and they're moving more and more towards other countries. Like here in Australia now, they've approached some really big healthcare companies, elderly healthcare companies. And in fact, I'm doing a private lesson for one this coming week. Okay, they asked, what it's all about, and they've asked me to do a private class on their Zoom, okay, with their members. So
okay. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting, and they chose the topic, which was Pinterest. So I'm going to do Pinterest for them, and then when they start signing up, then all their members will be marketed to. So I think we're almost at that stage now. I would say almost within a month, we'll probably start seeing a flow of Australians and New Zealanders coming into so yeah. So I think that will work.
And is that those sorts of initiatives been as a result of the work that the guy over here on the east has been doing? Is it? Yeah,
100%. Okay,
yeah.
He's made the contacts, gone to see them. Even sometimes when he's visiting them in their office, okay, they will just tune into one of the lessons that happen to be going,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
as well. So you suddenly see him appear in and gone again.
Yeah.
That he's busy talking to a potential client or something like a potential sponsor.
Yeah.
So
okay.
no, it's happening. No, it's happening. He's got his head down. He's got his nose. He knows what he has to do, and I think we're going to see the results very soon.
Well, that's good. That's good. And have they managed to sort of get on top of all of that nonsense that was going on, or is that still happening a little bit? Or
yeah, largely they've thrown a lot of technology at it. Okay, and so largely yes, they have, because what they've done is they've created a Zoom has a waiting room, okay, but that didn't solve the problem. Okay, they just came straight through that. So what they've done, they've created their own Get Set Up room. They've got nothing to do with Zoom, okay, where people are going to go into a class, go into this room, okay, immediately on entering the AI sees that they are a member, okay, and they're allowed to click to come into the class, okay, and then they come into the class. So now they've been checked. Now the AI says anybody, and everybody now goes into a Zoom waiting room, and somebody that hasn't been authorized through the Get Set Up room is not allowed in. Full stop.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So it seems to be working, and I haven't had much trouble this week. You know, I think there was one or two, because I think one or two of them are really. I think they've just been stupid. Is that they come and become Get Set Up members, okay, and then they come into class, and then they cause nonsense. But I mean, they identified straight away after that because they now got a Get Set Up membership. So you can see immediately, and with the technical assistants that join our classes, you know, they quickly report them. So this person is disruptive, you know.
So they just kick him out?
They kick them out, yeah. I guess they don't allow them into class again. Okay. I'm not quite sure what happens on that side. But yeah, there's been a great improvement in that. Yeah.
It's peculiar behavior, though, isn't it? Like, it's hard to fathom what on earth would motivate someone to do that, you know? It really is.
Yeah, I think it's this world that we're now moving into that's separating, you know, the people that won't never think of doing that and people who can't think of anything else but doing that.
It's peculiar. It really is. Yeah.
So they've been left behind in the third dimension, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's very strange. I struggle to understand the logic behind it, but I don't think there is any logic. I think it's
not worth your thoughts. Not worth.
No, it's not. It's not actually. It's not worth thinking about. Yeah. No, it's not.
How's your lockdown going in your town?
We don't have one at the moment, so we're fine. Yeah, I think the focus is fairly much down at Melbourne at the moment, but they've had a horrible time of it down there. The other thing they've been doing up here is they've had this mad panic rush to get everyone inoculated, you know, with the vaccine, and it's coming. The pressure's coming from all sorts of angles. Like they haven't really got it into the work environment at the moment, but apart from if you work in aged care or somewhere like that, or in the health system, but there's just this mad headlong push to get people vaccinated, and it's just, you know, it seems to be this bureaucratic nonsense, you know, where a couple of months ago, you know, the politicians would always, we'll get there. It's not a race, you know, and rah rah rah. Which is kind of a weird response, I guess, to a pandemic. But then all of a sudden, the pendulum's gone to the other extreme, whereas we need everyone, you know, and you need to register, and you need to do this, and you need to do that. And it's like, I'm not doing it. But I found myself there. I got an email the other day from the nursing home where mum's in, and they're sort of saying, you know, you need to seriously consider, you know, the implication being, well, if you don't go and get this, you may not be allowed in. You know, so it's a big step for them to do that. I don't think they actually legally could do it.
But they're intruding on some fundamental right. Yeah.
You know, and there's other people, like, you know, there's this woman there that, you know, I work with, and she's got some underlying health issues, and she's just saying it's just too risky for me, you know, like because, you know, she's prone to blood clots and all that sort of stuff, and I just don't want to take the risk, you know, and so I can understand that, you know, because, you know, there's one scenario is you go and have this darn vaccination and find yourself dead, you know, like, you know, or have a severe stroke or something, you know, like it's
just not necessary.
Well, no, and I mean, as you and I've spoken about, you know, forever, you know, like, where's the conversation about building a healthy immune system? You know, where's that? It's completely absent, you know.
Yeah, I talk about that a lot in my classes.
Yeah, but then the irony is, I think in Melbourne, in the last 24 hours, they had 2 cases of, you know, positive, you know, diagnosis of coronavirus.
Yeah.
And both the people who've got it have had the injections. You know, so
it doesn't surprise me one bit. You hear that story every single day.
You know, so You know, you've got to have it, got to have it, got to have it. Will I still get coronavirus? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Anyway,
it's insane.
I hope
Yeah.
you're not confronted with that decision.
No, well, I'm hoping that I'm not either, you know, but I, you know, like to think that, you know, my diet and my lifestyle and my mindset all contribute to a strong immune system, you know. So
I have no doubt, no doubt. Okay, and especially the energy. You know, it's the one thing we haven't spoken a lot about, but we're fully aware of it. You know, the whole energy system is probably more important than anything else as far as your health is concerned. Is getting that external energy through the chakras, through the nerves, into, you know. But anyway, that's another topic for
another for another day. That's right. Actually, we've gone overtime, haven't we, today? So yeah.
What's over time? It's been great. Okay.
Yeah, has been, always is.
Been a
Yep.
great evening. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Well, very good. So good chatting, and I'll talk to you on Wednesday.
Yeah. Catch up Wednesday. All
Sounds
right.
good. Okay then. You take care.
Cheers, man. Bye.
Okay. Bye.